We said as we went off the air last night that we felt certain today was going to be worse along the Gulf Coast. It has been worse, much worse. Hurricane Katrina, now a mere tropical depression over the state of Tennessee. But the disaster it left behind grows by the hour, and it is not simply a natural disaster tonight. It is becoming the sort of disaster humans cause. There is looting and lawlessness, overwhelming in some places the ability of police to keep order. The more we see tonight, the more difficult, the more unsafe, the more desperate things appear. When dawn broke today, the scope of the devastation across 3 states became far clearer. In parts of Mississippi, entire neighborhoods destroyed. In New Orleans, a major breach in a levee overnight sent more water pouring into an already flooded city. Efforts to fix it have failed, and the water is expected to begin rising rapidly yet again. Residents are being urged to find higher ground as soon as possible to get out. It's now a race against time to find survivors. Where to take them is the problem, a huge problem. We have a better view of the wide shot than we did 24 hours ago, and it is everything we feared.
New Orleans is no longer safe to live in. It is that simple and that stark. More than a day after Katrina hit, things should be getting better, but they have gotten worse. The failure of levees and pumping stations is causing floodwaters to rise, not recede. And somehow, the governor of the state wants to figure out a way to get whoever is left in the city out.
They're putting more and more survivors into the Superdome. They're putting more and more survivors into the Superdome, and the conditions there are very difficult, but we're worrying first about the medically needy.
We are talking about tens of thousands of people, perhaps 30,000 in the Superdome alone, just one of the shelters in the city. Those people need to be moved, but to where? Those people need to be moved, but to where?
We'll be looking for places to evacuate the rest of the folks who found themselves at the Superdome. It's not a very comfortable situation right now.
In the midst of it all, something approaching anarchy. Looting is going on. Police seem unable to stop it. Their cars are running low on gas. There aren't even jails to house the prisoners they have. Prisoners moved to high ground today, the side of a highway.
Okay, here we go. Okay, get that. Oh, there we go. Oh, geez. Oh, God.
By boat and by helicopter, rescue teams work today to get people still trapped in their attics or on their rooftops to safety. Hundreds of people have been stranded this way. Dead bodies float by as crews look for the survivors.
Here we go. Forgive me, we'll come back.
First family of the United States of America.
People in Louisiana must know that all across our country there's a lot of prayer. Prayer for those whose lives have been turned upside down. Again, I want to thank you all for, and Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job. The FEMA director's working 24 hours.
Just to imagine if I was down there, and those are my people down there. So anybody out there that wants to do anything that we can help with the setup, the way America is set up to help the poor, the black people, the less well off as slow as possible. I mean, Red Cross is doing everything they can. We already realize a lot of the people that could help are at war right now, fighting another way, and they've given them permission to go down and shoot us.
And subtle, but in even many ways more profoundly devastating, is the lasting damage to the survivors' will to rebuild and remain in the area. The destruction of the spirit of the people of southern Louisiana and Mississippi may end up being the most tragic loss of all.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
The whole world knows this. You stood up in front of the world and said, George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Right.
What did that do to your life when you said that?
I think it changed my life for the better. I think people understood me a little bit more. They understood, like, this guy is like, has a little baby Tourette's, maybe not quite diagnosed, but the truth just comes out like accidentally, like what's on the top of his mind. And I'm working off the cusp here. I'm working off the top of my mind. I'm not reading the teleprompter. I'm speaking from the heart, and that thing got dialed up and typed into the heart, and that was that.
Do you think it was fair? In the heat of the moment, it came out. Reflecting now, do you still believe George Bush doesn't care about black people?
I mean, I have a hard time believing that George Bush cares about anyone. So sidebar, black people also, you know.
The city is essentially cut off. One runway opened at the airport, but highways and roads remain impassable. Supplies are running short, so are tempers. The scope of the disaster, murky yesterday, is much clearer tonight.
Wind spans are down, the bridges are down. There's no electricity, phone lines are down. Cellular phone lines are down. There's no way of us getting in contact with any of our families, friends, or anybody that's left behind. Out of those casualties, we don't know who's hurt, if they're related to us or what. We just can't, we're gonna be here, whether we like it or not, because we can't take any road home.
In places like Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, residents are trying to get back home. Black marks are put on houses with bodies inside because right now there aren't enough refrigerated trucks to hold them.
But the most important thing is that people try to help people start getting their lives back together. And it's not going to be something that's going to be done this week or next month, maybe not even next year.
Katrina knocked down tens of thousands of homes in Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama. 2.5 million people are without power tonight. Over 43,000 people in Red Cross shelters. The estimate for insurance damage alone sits now at $25 billion. Tonight, thousands of people have nothing. No power, no phone, no water, no food. Little hope, just faith.
Because I am a deep Christian, I thought at least we are alive. That's the important thing. And in this part of the world, we are very valiant people and we do endure.
Back in 2005, when Katrina happened, I didn't know anything about HARP, and I didn't know anything about them being able to control the weather and things of that nature. And I remember watching that graphic on the news when they were showing the Hurricane Katrina, as they called it. This hurricane was pretty much going from east to west while it was in the ocean. So it was gonna pass by New Orleans, or at least, you know, that area going towards New Orleans. It was basically going from east to west. Now, on that Doppler radar that they were showing, the hurricane, it just stopped in the middle of the ocean. And everybody knows that a hurricane gets its strength, it gets its power from the ocean, you know, from the water. So even though I didn't know anything about HARP or anything at that time, I knew it was strange that the hurricane just stopped in the middle of the ocean. It just stopped and it sat there, built up all that power, got all that strength, and then it made a beeline straight towards New Orleans, that area. And as soon as I saw that shit, even though I didn't know anything about them being able to control the weather, as soon as I saw that hurricane stop, sit there, build up all that strength, and then make a beeline straight towards that New Orleans area, I immediately said, these motherfuckers can control the weather. This is what's happening right now with all this crazy weather that's been going on since this eclipse. They had the eclipse on August 21st, and at the time it was reported that they was gonna have this black sky drill on the 23rd of August of this year. And that just happens to be the 12th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And then 2 days later, August 25th, Hurricane Harvey made landfall. Now, you know that ain't no fucking coincidence. Like I said before, our Father in heaven is in control of all of this shit. As we get closer to the end, he's allowing them to do more and more shit like this. So you have this crazy ass eclipse. Then you have a lot of people, it's being reported that a lot of people been getting sick since this eclipse. So I didn't really think nothing about it at the time, but it's been reported that a lot of people who actually witnessed this total eclipse, this so-called eclipse, it's been reported a lot of people got sick, and they wasn't getting sick like no flu type symptoms. Get away from me. And then I'm hearing people talking about them releasing balloons and shit with bacteria in it, right on that path of totality. Some people talking about, cosmic radiation that went down during that shit, that eclipse. And of course, I talked about that energy coming through. So it's fucked up how all of this shit is going on. And you still got people in denial of what's really going on. You have all of these so-called coincidences, the eclipse, the drill, and then you got Hurricane Harvey come in. Now, history repeats itself. Everything that happened 12 years ago during Hurricane Katrina is happening again. That soldier who talked about, he said there was Russian and Chinese troops here in America training on U.S. bases, U.S. military bases with so-called American troops. He's been right all along about the shit that he's been talking about. He also talked about how during Hurricane Katrina, that a lot of these women who had kids during that time, they was basically being forced to give up their kids. And he said if they didn't do it, they would be arrested. And he also said that when they took their kids, they gave them that goddamn chip. And this is what's happening right now. What's being reported, this Hurricane Harvey thing is, as far as the storm itself is pretty much gone, the after effects, the aftermath continues. And you got a lot of people who've been going into these so-called FEMA camps, these Walmarts, and they going through the same shit that they was going through at that Superdome.
This is Dabu 7 reporting from the Springdale Walmart, or the closed down Walmart in Ohio. I want people to notice I'm on the back side of the compound, and this wire runs a lot farther than just the old Walmart. It wraps all the way up around David's Bridal. That part, that peak right there coming up right in the center in the front of the building, that's David's Bridal. It wraps all the way down and around all this. As you can see, it goes over to the other building and all the way down the building. Now down here to the right, out of frame, hiding in the bushes, is a cop. I hope to maybe get a shot of him before we pull out of here. A couple pictures, but he's hiding on an off-road right down here, and he's watching this facility. So this is being watched by law enforcement.
And we was talking about J. Helm in 2015. That J. Helm drill, that crap, whatever the fuck that shit was. Preparing everybody for this shit that's happening right now that's happening right now today. over the last number of days, I've been thinking about that show called The Strain, and I ain't the only one who been talking about that shit. You know, supposedly vampires and zombie apocalypse type shit. And that's exactly what's happening now. They released that shit in those fucking balloons, given authority to do so by our Father in heaven, because they rejected Christ. Time's up. So they released that bacteria. Just like I said, everybody's gonna go nuts. You had that fucking energy that came through. And now we are in this time frame where this horrible shit is happening. It's not gonna stop this time. You know, we had a little bit of a lull after Hurricane Katrina in 2005 when it comes to these type of events with FEMA and things of that nature, because I've always noticed that it's not a lot of homeless people around here like it used to be. These people they've been being gathered up and taken into these camps and Walmarts and whatever the fuck they had ready for them, and either giving them the chip or straight up killing them. It's pretty fucking obvious, and it's even a whole lot worse than that. A lot of people, should I say basically everybody, who don't believe in Christ and don't believe in the end times, it's like they waiting for everybody on earth to go through this type of shit in order for them to realize and to admit, yeah, it's the end. This is it, you know. But this is how deceived these people are, because everything has been happening gradually here and there, certain things going on. And because everybody ain't dying at the same time, people still in denial about what's going on.
This is CNN getting a serious dose of reality, big time.
Here we go. We're standing with some folks there right now, including a little girl who I guess has to deal with all of this as well. What can you tell us?
Let me introduce you to Danielle here. Danielle, you just arrived. Share with us how you were rescued.
Some guys had called our phone and asked us where we were. We was waiting for the police for like 36 hours and they never came. And we was waiting at the home. We did the white flags and everything and nobody came. But then somebody had called the phone after we decided to leave the house, and we had walked to the gas station with the kids, and then they had called and came and picked us up. But we had been there like 5 days with no food and no lights, and nobody came. Like nobody came.
Now you're with your children. We've heard of stories of mothers trying to save their children from the rushing waters. Can you tell us how that was?
4 feet of water to go get them food on the first day. Yeah, that's a lot of shit. But y'all sitting here, y'all trying to interview people during their worst times. Like, that's not the smartest thing to do. Like, people are really breaking down, and y'all sitting here with cameras and microphones trying to ask us what the fuck is wrong with us.
I'm so
and
sorry.
you're really trying to understand, with the microphone still in my face, with me shivering cold, with my kids wet, and you still putting the microphone in my face.
Russell Flores, it sounds like you've got a very upset family there. We're going to take a break from that, and we'll get back to you later on. Russ Flores in Houston.
So now we have this new hurricane coming in, and people are confused about where it's going to go right now. Some people say it's going towards Florida, and now it's being reported that it might go straight toward New York. And of course, there's been a lot of subliminal messages in movies and things of that nature talking about New York and a giant tidal wave and things of this nature. It's also being reported, some people saying it might end up being a Category 6 or a Category 7 hurricane, which we've never had one of those. That's some powerful shit, you know, meaning we never had one as far as when they started actually keeping track of these hurricanes and things of that nature. So what's going on with these hurricanes, this flooding situations, the FEMA camps, the Walmarts? It's a whole lot worse than what's being reported. So we are getting to that point now where these things that's happening is not only going to continue to happen, it's not going to stop. And it's going to get to the point where it's going to directly affect us as well. We're not just going to be seeing this shit on the news. So if it gets to the point, these assholes, these demons in the flesh, if they bring that fight to you, if you can't get away, you don't have a choice but to fight to the death. Because heaven is eternal. So is hell. So if you have to die for Jesus, so be it. Taking that chip under any circumstances will damn you to hell. So no matter what you're going through, you get caught up in this situation, stay away from these fucking FEMA camps, stay away from these fucking Walmarts. Do not take that chip. Do not succumb to these satanic, evil, devil worshiping motherfuckers.
FEMA death camps and the red and blue list under martial law. While I have no doubt that the NWO cravers at the CIA have their own list of people to round up and terminate, the actual proper agency behind the now infamous red-blue lists is none other than FEMA Black OPS. FEMA is not here to primarily help you. Under a full state of martial law, FEMA is here to send you to their detention camps to sort out who shall live and who shall die.
I'm going to sit down here with Jake, who's got his dog Bubba. Jake, who is homeless. Jake, you've found yourself some shelter here. Why are you outside during this entire hurricane?
Well, I chose not to go inside yesterday because the Salvation Army and Russian Winds homeless shelter where they were accepting people were caught killing everybody that was in there.
I'm sorry. All right. Okay. All right. So clearly you're homeless and there are some challenges that you face, sir. I'm just curious, what has it been like out here for you?
It's been a little miserable since about 12 o'clock last night. It wasn't too bad before then. About 12 o'clock, lightning, the power went out in the neighborhood over here. And I'm actually a police officer.
Okay, sir. I'm curious, as you're here and you're trying to survive, why are you outside during this entire hurricane?
Well, I chose not to go inside yesterday because the Salvation Army and Russian Winds homeless shelter where they were accepting people were caught killing everybody that was in there.
I'm sorry. All right.
Okay. All right. Salvation Army and Russian Winds homeless shelter where they were accepting people were caught killing everybody that was in there.
I'm sorry. All right.
Okay. All right.